Hi there, wonderful awakening beings and spiritual souls. Jo Rose of JoRose.com, numerologist and energy forecaster. In this video, I want to talk about power versus force. Everything is energy. I've said this in endless videos. Everything is energy. Your energy, I'm energy, the table's energy, these flowers are energy. Everything is energy. Many years ago, I was struggling to find answers. I'd gone through a system, I'd done everything that my country or my health system or my family system or any system was suggesting that I do. I am an inquisitive person and I know when things don't feel right and I know when they do, but the system was failing me. And as I shared in my previous video, briefly I discovered, not briefly, but as I shared briefly, when I discovered numerology, it gave me the answers that nothing else did. Normally when I do numerology videos, I am focused on the positive aspect of everything. I want to raise you up. I want to raise the vibration. I want to bring you up to love and beyond. And this is why I focus on the positive. 2020 is a 4 energy. How do I know this? By adding together and reducing down all the digits of the current year. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0 is 4. So the 4 is about structure, stability, security, safety, order, planning, reasonable, loyal, patient. I mean, there's endless words. Actually, when I do my mentorship, and I'm working with people, we work with both sides of the energy because we must understand. The movie I go on about, Inside Out, well worth watching because it teaches you the value of every emotion. But when I'm working with people, I have the scales. And to go further, I have further words to do with them. And we have them as strengths and weaknesses. I also have from the scales here, love and fear. This is what we're focusing on, and we need to learn to balance the energy. So I've given you some of the positive aspects of the 4 energy. Let's switch to the negative aspects of the 4 energy. Intolerance, critical or criticism, controlling, rigid, belittling, condemning, opinionated and pompous. We are in the middle of a plandemic, and it's interesting that I call it a plandemic, bearing in mind that the 4 energy is a plan number. It's a structure number, and whether it's moving us from one structure to another, it's about a structure and a system. Let me just remind you right now that the most important system that you have is your immune system. Hence why I'm out here collecting some vitamin D as I create this video. There's a great book by Robert R. Hawkins called Power versus Force, and in this book he has what is it called, the map of consciousness grid, and I will have up and down throughout the video the map of consciousness so that you can keep looking at it and seeing where you are lying. You can go online and find a copy of it. I'll probably even put one up on my own Pinterest account. The map of consciousness. I want to say a fact here. This is the only fact right now I 100% know to be true. You may not like this fact, but the sooner you accept this fact, the sooner you can start living. And the fact is, we're all going to die. Fact, irrelevant of this pandemic, we're all going to die. So we need to be less focused on dying and start living. Let go of existing and start living. Let go of surviving and start thriving. This is what I am all about. So energetically, what is happening and where are you in all this energy? April is an A energy. Put it on the side, you've got the number of infinity. We're in an endless loop round and around. As you can see from the map of consciousness, where we go, and we move from here to here, and from here to here, we might even get to here, and we might pop down again. And this is what we're doing, because there's not enough positive energy. There's not enough positive energy out there in the world bringing us up. It's there, don't get me wrong. People like me want to bring up this vibration. There are endless awakening spiritual coaches or good people out there looking to elevate you. But because of the way you've been raised, it's very hard to move you from A to B. I never thought I would ever say or come into the conclusion that there is a deep, dark state, but there is. And it's playing out right now. That's how I feel it. That's what I intuitively get. And when I find myself after meditation, I come to understand that humanity generally are good, kind, caring, considerate, compassionate people. The majority are. So why is it that we can't just get our education, get our job, get married, have our family, have fun times, do our work, do our pleasure, and balance it? Why can't we do that? It's not because we don't want to, it's not because we're not trying, but we have to look at what's really going on, whether it be in our food, whether it be what's told to us, and what's told to us is generally coming from one place. Although it seems several, it's generally coming from one place. So there is something going on. It is a plandemic. Just a question. If we're not allowed access into care homes because we are doing our bit, we're being responsible and loyal to the elderly, to our grandparents or our parents, then why are there so many deaths in care homes? Have you asked yourself that? Why are there so many? When we're not letting it in, this virus, how are there so many deaths? Well, I'll tell you why. They're not dying of the virus. They're dying because they're not getting treatment and care. They're dying because the social system has been taken away from them. They're not getting to see their loved ones, families and friends. They're not getting to get out and go for walks. Oh, yes, they can, but, you know, there's only so many staff because a lot of them are on sick leave. Why are there so many deaths in care homes? And here's another thought. Because of the virus, they're letting out the not so bad prisoners. But tell me how a man that attempted to, or did stab his wife and has gone to prison for stabbing his wife is a not so high point prisoner that he gets let out and he kills his 9-year-old daughter. I'll tell you why. The prison why. I believe they're pitting us against each other. They're letting out the dark side, the crime, onto the streets. I am baffled that doctors on duty are having their cars smashed, that they're having their bikes stolen, that ambulance tyres can be punctured, and yet we don't know why. How comes we never saw any of this? It's happening. I feel that they're pitting black against white, gender against gender, race, religion, everything. This is how they cause the wars. Why? Well, they want to depopulate for some reason. There's some power going on. I don't know what it is. So why? Look at my flowers. Aren't they lovely? I know that was a bit of a tough subject that I was talking about there, but aren't they amazing? Look at the colours and the vibrancy. Look how they all sit together. They're not arguing. The tulip looks no better than the daffodil, no better than the chrysanthemum, or the hyacinth, or the rose. They're all beautiful. And you'd think they were beautiful if I gave them to you. And yet if I said to you, pick which one is prettier and nicer or more beautiful. Now I'm making you narrow down and make a choice that you don't need to make, because if I just gave you a flower, you'd be happy with it. Now I've given you a choice. You've got to decide because of the way we've been brainwashed about what looks good and what doesn't look good. I created the last video because I had gone through the map of consciousness. I had grief and fear and anger and pride, and all of those things came out in that video. The map of consciousness starts with shame and it works its way up. Shame, guilt, apathy, grief, and we get to fear. Fear is given a power of 100. In that last video, I said to you, we do everything from fear or love, and we need to move towards love. Fear is 100, and fear comes in the force and not the power. After fear, we have desire, anger, and pride. At 200, we move into courage. My sister made me angry that day because my sister, when I suggested something about my mum, turned around and said that I do nothing. My sister doesn't know what I do. Why would she judge me? I could not keep the call with her. But what if I did do nothing? What is it that I have learned over the last endless years? I'll tell you. I have observed. I have gone within. I have been teaching myself to learn to understand my intuition, to have faith, to trust. The 7 energy. Last year, I had a full year of the 7 energy. I said it was a great year. It was for the energy. But I shared in the last video that my mum was in and out of hospital last year and that my dad passed away. There were many things like that went on which weren't good. But because I understand the energy, because I've used the energy to bring me up, when I had my 7 year, it was mind-blowing. And I am so grateful that last year was a 7 year for me. So this year I'm in an 8. April is an 8 energy. And I suggested to each one of you in my April forecast to become the CEO of yourself. Now is the time to become the CEO. Now is the time for you to believe in you, to self-love, become self-aware, self-respect, and self-validate. Let's go back to my mum. I wasn't happy that she was in hospital. I was paranoid. I had fear. I had all of these things going on. The next day, they say that my mum can come out. This is really weird because if she was so bad, and they said that if she didn't go in, and this is what they said, if she didn't go in, they've said that she could die within 2 days. Now, they said that because of how they saw her and what was going on. My mum was actually bringing up through her mouth diarrhea. Her whole inside system was not working. I mean, it sounds gross, doesn't it? But that was what was going on. We get the call that she's coming home by ambulance, and then she's not coming home by ambulance. But I wanted to go and get her anyway. So I said, doesn't matter about the ambulance, I'll go. And on and off all day. And finally, I get the call at 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock, I think, fine, I'm going to go and see Mum. I go to my car, and my car doesn't start. My car doesn't start because in 1 month, literally to the day, my car has done 2 shops, and the shop was probably about 10 days ago from this, to the supermarket to buy my food. Doing as I'm told, like a good citizen, a good person. I'm worried about everybody, you know, I'm loyal and reasonable to everything that's going on. My car didn't start, so I had to get it to jump start. I had used that car to do this same journey exactly 1 month earlier. 21st of March, Mother's Day weekend. And I felt that as I was in good health and well-being, and my mum hadn't been anywhere for God knows how long because she'd been poorly anyway, that I would get in my car and I'd go visit my mum. Me, on my own, living on my own, go visit Mum. Couldn't see the problem with it. So I went to visit Mum. On that journey, the M23 was full of roadworks. Literally, it took forever to get down the M23, and there was loads of roadworks everywhere. 1 month later, 21st of April, after I've started the car and I've gone out and I've driven down the M23, there are no roadworks. Not any roadworks. I'm still being told I've got to stick to a low speed limit for 50 mile, occasionally 60 mile an hour. But what did I notice different? While there were no roadworks, the M23 had been expanded. It was now 2 sets of 4 lanes. It's an 8-lane wide, 2 directions, motorway. Great, so I've got it out of the way by the time we all get back to normal and go out to work. But the smart motorway system was being put in place above my head. There were masts and poles along the way. I say masts, there were poles along the way. And there were endless new signs. National speed limit with cameras underneath. I did a speed awareness course a number of years back, and I was told we are one of the safest countries in the world. So I can't understand why we need these smart motorways. And they have said there's been more deaths on smart motorways. And I say this to people and they go, oh, well, you know, we must need them. We're so trusting of the system that we must need them. But this was a totally different journey. I arrived at the hospital after picking up my mum's husband. It was a ghost town. There was no one around. My mum's husband said he'd go in because he was the husband. And I thought, oh, I don't know, you know, you're in the 70 plus bracket and maybe I should go in. But he went in and I stood outside and I looked around. We was in the modern part of the hospital, the new part of the hospital. And right before me was many, many windows. They are the wards of the hospital. And it's 9:45, 10 o'clock, and all the curtains were open. All the lights were full on. There was no one in the wards. No one. No one walking around. Because I waited outside quite a while waiting for them to come back down. When they come back down, my mum gets in the car. My mum shares that her ward that she was in was the only ward open. And my mum, being my mum, couldn't get her head around the fact that why would they be, and this was the reason it was closed, modernising the modern part of the hospital. Why? Doesn't make sense, does it? Anyway, I stay overnight on the sofa, not a good sleep at all, and I read in the morning my mum's discharge letter. My mum was tested for the virus, and it come back no trace. So technically, she hasn't got the virus. My mum couldn't remember being tested. She said they didn't stick anything up my nose. Later on in the report, it says no swab was taken. It was done via a CT. I guess CT scan. I'll leave the piece here so that you can read it. So how could they tell my mum in less than 24 hours that she did not have the virus? And we are waiting endless times. We have people on the front line in the hospitals dealing with sick people that aren't being tested. And yet my mum could get that result just like that. So okay, my mum hasn't got the virus and they've allowed her to come home. If this was another time, there's no way my mum should be discharged. Since she's been home, she's been in bed the whole time, can't move. The thought of anything, including water, makes her sick. She throws up. She's so worried about throwing up because of the last time, or what could come up from down below. My mum should be in hospital, but I don't want her back. Her husband doesn't know what to do because he doesn't like to see her suffer. And he says, I might have to ring, and I'm praying that things start to change. We are all following the 4 system. We are doing as we're told. We are complying. We are being controlled. We are being patient. We are being reasonable. Intolerance is picking up. I feel belittled. Do you feel belittled? I'm outside getting my vitamin D. I am fortunate that I can get my vitamin D. I am surrounded by birdsong, but then I normally am because of where I chose to live. Fortunately, I'm not in a 1 or 2 bedroom flat where I can't open the windows or get out. I'm not stuck in a care home where I can't get out. I'm not stuck somewhere where I can't get out. But why do I want to get out? Well, firstly, I think it's good for me to get out and exercise, but I'm beginning to rechange my mind on the whole of this now. This is the awakening. Most people are in trance. We are being manipulated, and it is time to see this for what it is. The media, the TV, the music is all being used for this. We are being kept inside, and where a majority of people spending their time. Go look at subliminal, preliminal, whatever the word is, messages that are put out there. Now, it's interesting because I'm a numerologist and energy forecaster, that's what I class. But in my journey, I have studied EFT, matrix reimprinting, NLP. When studying NLP, we had to swear an oath not to use it in a manipulative way. What I know and understand, and this is why when I listen to clients, I can get deeper into whatever it is that they are not sharing by the language they use. We are what we eat. And if we tell ourselves we're fat, then we're fat. If we tell ourselves we can't do it, then we can't do it. If we tell ourselves the system is correct, then the system is correct. If you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're correct. This is mind control. I know, it all seems so out there, doesn't it? That this is mind control. Here's the question. When did the United Kingdom become the UK? Maybe we should start calling it United Kingdom. But here's a bigger one. When did America become the United States of America? But when did they become the US? Us. Now the deep, dark state resides in the us part of the world. And I'm going to tell you now, in my research, there's two things that I am never going to eat again. One is and the other, look at the symbols. Now go do your research. Go do your research to find out why child trafficking took place. What happened in Haiti? What's really going on? They are pitting us against one another. Bring back the United in your country's name. We are 99% of the population. Believe it or not, we have the power. Let me go back to the map of consciousness. After courage at 200, we have neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason. And at 500, we have love. Can you see? Love is higher than fear. Love is more powerful than fear. Once we pass the 200 and we get to neutrality, we can start in the positive. How can we get further up the positive? We can become willing to find our own way. We can become willing to step into who we are. We can become willing to take action and stop being led. Your body can answer all your questions. After love, we have joy. I mean, what does joy do to you? Many elderly people say they've lived so long because of joy and social interaction. They are denying that from us. Well, so you thought. But the Daily Mail in the UK today has said that they are looking to create little family friend bubbles where you can go and visit your family or friends. Interesting, when we're in single separation, which we've been for a long time, and I said to you, maybe we shouldn't be out there walking. What's going on? Now, some of you feel that by upgrading the mobile phone system to the next level is a challenge. But what if I was to say to you, it's already here before that? The reason we've been out on our own walking around is so that they can take a facial recognition, so that they can log us, so they know our practice and procedures, know our environment. And by allowing us to mix with our family, they can hone down now who we're connected to. Just as my mind running away, but you can go and look into this. Now this system, it's in the LED light bulbs in your street. And guess what they're called? Li-Fi. This light bulb that is in the new street lamps is called Li-Fi. Li-Fi. Phi. Oh, I know it's light Phi, but Li-Fi. And it's already in there. I was told when someone was changing the light in my lane not so long ago that by, I can't remember the date, the summer, I think it was going to be the summer of this year, that all the street lights were going to be LED. And there is a transmitter in those LEDs. And I even went on to my own phone provider's site, and they talk about this light. And they talk about it being in hospitals and offices and schools and everywhere. So you may go back to the schools when they open them up and say, oh, but there's no mast. But go check the lighting system inside the school. So why was the hospital practically empty when I went to see my mum? Are they changing all the lights in the wards? I don't know. Do your research. What can you find out? We've got a few days left of April. I'm telling you, the A energy is asking you to understand the power versus the force, to become the CEO of you, yourself. Everything is energy. This is not a pandemic. This is a plandemic. We don't need to pit ourselves against one another. Black and white, Hindu, Muslim, Christians, we can all live together. We do generally live together. My flowers are not arguing. My flowers are not having a problem here. They just look amazing. And when you look at a group of humanity that come together and they are having an amazing time, they are laughing and connecting, they're out having their picnics on walking the beach, having fun at a concert, catching a movie, whatever it is. Generally, humanity looks like these flowers. I know you look like these flowers, not literally, but energetically. Know your numerology. Know there's a dark side, and understand that perhaps it's that weakness that's holding you back from being who you are. I'm doing an expression series at the moment, and I'm doing them that they're generalized. But if you want to know more about who you are and why you're here, then open up to numerology. It's been hidden from us for so many years, and yet it's used, but it's been used in the dark side, in the negative side. And if 99% of us can embrace it in the positive side, we can not only get through this. No, we won't go back to normal. We'll go back to we'll go forward to a new normal. A normal where people get on, that we do work, rest and play, less stress, less illness, less bad things going in our food. There is a documentary going out at the moment, and it's called The Truth About Vaccines 2020. We're on day 3 or 4 now, but they're telling you, and just to catch on to this, people are mimicking or taking the mickey out of Trump's statement about ingesting bleach to help with the virus. I'm beginning to think that Trump's a smart man, because go and look what is in the injections. Go and look at what is in there. There's a whole lot more worse. Perhaps he was just sending you a little thing to get you to wake up and look at the medication that you are taking. If you eat well and you smile a lot and you laugh, then you don't need any pills, supplements, or medication. If your food is serving you, if your life is serving you, if your environment is serving you, and when you love yourself, I said it's your life. When are you going to start owning it? It's your life. LYFE. Love yourself first every day. When you love yourself so much, you understand about loving us, not out of fear, not out of force, but out of power, out of joy, out of peace, and watch the world become more enlightened. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.